We started off the morning with a free walking tour hosted by Like It Formosa. I first did one of these walking tours in Budapest when I was studying abroad in Europe, and I was initially pretty skeptical of the quality of the tours given that it was free, but I was very pleasantly surprised. Every walking tour I've been on have been amazing, and this one in Taipei was no different. We first started off at the Longshan Temple, which is an incredibly popular place to visit for both locals and tourists. We quickly learned that there are many superstitious traditions associated with temple visits, such as always entering through the right-hand entrance and exiting through the left. The temple inside features many different gods that people can pray to on specific occasions, such as the god of education, the god of fertility, and many more. However, the god that was by far the most popular was the god of love. There was a never-ending line of people praying to the love god, while the others were lucky to get even one person.
Okay, and then we believe that when everyone was born, you have an invisible red string tied in your pinky nail to your another half.
This is David asking for some guidance from the god of education since he is about to start dental school, but unfortunately the gods were very ambiguous in their answers.
The use of Qim and Red House. Part of the reason why they want to build this building like this, like modern and red.
So 1 is 2 to the 8. Now I'll give you some options.
The entire walking tour took around 3 hours, so by the time we got to our last stop, which was the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial, we were pretty exhausted. Overall, I would highly recommend this experience to anyone looking for an active and cheap way to explore the city. The tour guides are usually young locals who are very knowledgeable on the city's history and can give a unique perspective that you wouldn't otherwise get as a tourist. Although the tour isn't necessarily free since everyone pays a small tip at the end of the tour, but I think it's totally worth it. We then headed to a place for lunch that serves guo si fen, which is a spicy and sour noodle soup native to Guangxi, China. If you're anything like me who's salivating at the thought of this restaurant is a great place to check out. It's actually not very spicy. What do you rate it?
Solid 8.
Next, we headed to the Taipei Botanical Garden for a nice post-lunch walk. The lotus pond here only had 2 lotus flowers, so everyone was crowded around this one flower for photos. This one dad must have really liked this flower because I watched him take at least 100 zoomed-in photos of this flower from all the possible angles. Because we had pretty much eaten solely street food these past few days, we wanted to find a nice restaurant for dinner. I had watched a Mark Wiens video featuring this restaurant famous for their one-pot chicken soup, so we decided to give it a try. This soup contains an entire chicken, including the head and everything. It has been cooked for hours to give this soup almost a creamy color and flavor. Although it was on the slightly pricier side of around 100 USD per pot, it was easily the best chicken soup I've ever had, and maybe even best soup I've ever had. If you're wondering why we only ordered one thing to share between 4 people, it's because we were still stuffed from lunch and the pot was ginormous. We probably only finished half of it for dinner and took the rest back home. The next morning, we strolled around a bit at a local farmer's market near our Airbnb before hopping on the high-speed rail to Taichung. The train ride only took around 40 minutes that otherwise would have taken 2 hours by car, but it is on the more expensive side at $25 USD a person. After arriving in Taichung, we then hopped on another 1-hour bus ride to take us to Sun Moon Lake. Sun Moon Lake is a beautiful body of water surrounded by mountains located in central Taiwan. It's one of the most famous Taiwanese natural attractions and is definitely worth a visit despite the long travel time from Taipei. I'd read that one of the best things to do here is to cycle around the lake, so this is us testing out and failing horribly at riding a two-person bike. We decided that since the sun was setting soon, we'll save the bike riding for tomorrow morning. As we were walking by the water, we ran into a guy that was selling boat tickets to tour around the lake, and it just so happened to be the last boat of the day, so we decided to hop on. We spontaneously decided to get off in the middle of the boat ride because there is this huge night market on the other side of the lake. We ended up getting stranded here because there were no more boats for the day, and by the time we realized that the bus had already stopped its route for the day, it was a little bit too late. There were no taxis in sight because it was such a remote location, but lucky for us, there was a nice street vendor lady who pulled some strings and was finally able to get us a driver. The next morning, we started off by cycling around the lake before grabbing a quick lunch at a local shop. We had only planned to stay one night at Sun Moon Lake before heading to Tainan today, so the activities felt a bit rushed.
Good.